Can any one of you tell me?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, syphilis,
Yes. Syphilis basically causes
tuberculosis,
epitrochlear lymphadenopathy. So very good. What else?
sir, tuberculosis,
Yes,
maybe,
tuberculosis. What else?
sir, any carcinoma,
Yes, very good. So basically any malignancy or any infection. So you know what is the function of lymph node? Can you tell me what is the function of a lymph node or lymphatics? Lymphatic. Why there is lymphatic in some organs? Bhavna, can you tell me why? What are the function of lymphatics? Why there are lymphatic present in organ or any tissue?
सर एंटीबॉडीज बनाने के लिए और
एंटीबॉडी. व्हाट एल्स? लिम्फेटिक मतलब लिम्फ ले आने के लिए ना. तो सो व्हाट इज
ड्रेनेज
दैट थिंग? व्हाट इज लिम्फ?
सर फ्लूइड होता है कलरलेस फ्लूइड होता
यस.
है आरबीसी नहीं होती उसके अंदर और
Okay, so basically it's a kind of drainage of lymph which is formed in the tissue. So all the lymph which is formed in the tissue is drained by the lymphatics via into the main lymph node and then subsequent in other lymph node. This I have already mentioned. The lymphatic system comprises of lymphatic vessels, lymphatic tissue like lymph node, which are aggregation of lymphocyte and macrophages, and there are certain lymphatic organs like spleen. So before uh, embarking the clinical examination of a lymphatic system, let me discuss a theoretical discussion of a lymph node. Basically, lymph node is a bean-shaped organ which are found in cluster along the distribution of lymphatic channel in the body. So every tissue supplied by blood vessel is always supplied by lymphatic tissue except the placenta and the brain. All other tissues are supplied by the lymphatics. So this is the structure of a lymph node. There is a hilum there. There is arterial and venous supply. There is afferent lymphatic channels come from there, and efferent lymphatic channel come from exit from here. These are the afferent lymphatic channel. These are the efferent lymphatic channel, and it is divided into cortex as well as the medulla part. The outer part is known as cortical part. The inner part is known as medulla part, and this one is known as hilum. And the shape is like a bean shape. So shape is very important. In ultrasound, if the shape is written, then you should think that it's an inflammatory pathology. But if the shape is not written and it has become round, then you can think of a malignant pathology. So about lymph node system in the neck, there is a classification which classify the level of lymph node. So there are 6 level of lymph node in the neck: submental and submandibular. They are known as level 1 lymph node. Upper jugular level 2, middle jugular is level 3, and lower jugular are level 3 lymph node here. So this is upper jugular, mid jugular, and lower jugular lymph node. The posterior triangle lymph node behind the sternocleidomastoid, they are level 5 lymph node, and pre-tracheal and pre-laryngeal lymph node are known as level 6 lymph node. So again, the level 1, 2, 3, level 2, 3, 4, these are actually the deep cervical lymph node, and this is the location of suboccipital lymph node, and these are posterior triangle lymph node, which are level 5 lymph node, and these are supraclavicular lymph node. So this is a table summarizing which organ these level of lymph node usually drains. Level 1 is, as I told you, submental and submandibular triangles. They usually drains the upper and lower lip buccal mucosa. Level 2 drains tonsil and base of the tongue, while level 3 drains hypopharynx and larynx. Level 4 lower jugular lymph node drains larynx, and posterior triangle lymph node uh, draining region is nasopharynx, scalp as well as the parotid. And level 6 is thyroid. So basically, this again is the diagram showing area of lymphatic drainage, like scalp and face. They are preauricular lymph node, and region here is drained into submental lymph node. This is submandibular lymph node, and posterior auricular or occipital group of lymph node are drained here. So basically, what is lymphadenopathy? Any enlargement of the lymph node is known as lymphadenopathy. So basically, the normal lymph node are soft, flat, and they are less than 1 centimeter, and they are usually palpable in children and young adults because of stronger immunity and development of the immune system. While in healthy adult, if they are palpable or they are more than 2 centimeter in size, in inguinal region, they are considered abnormal. So in inguinal region, up to 2 centimeter is considered normal, but in neck and axilla, it is up to 1 centimeter that is considered normal. So size of the lymph node is very important. Neck and axilla, some say neck 1 centimeter and axilla 1.5 centimeter, but there are many books which says 1 centimeter for neck and axilla and 2 centimeter for inguinal lymph node. So what is generalized lymphadenopathy? Basically involvement of 3 or more non-contiguous lymph node area. Like it should not be in continuity. There should not be 3 areas which are directly in continuity. So 3 or more non-contiguous area. There are many causes of generalized lymphadenopathy, like in infectious causes like infectious mononucleosis, cytomegalovirus, toxoplasma, SLE, and mixed connective tissue disorder, and even in acute and chronic leukemias. What is localized lymphadenopathy? Particular single anatomic area, like neck lymph node enlargement is localized cervical lymphadenopathy. So like occipital lymphadenopathy reflects the infection of the skull. Like this area will always go into the occipital lymph node. So these are the causes of localized cervical lymphadenopathy. Infectious causes can be non-specific: glandular fever, tuberculosis, syphilis, toxoplasma, and cat scratch fever. While metastatic causes can be from head and neck area of the body, and there may be primary lymphoma, lymphosarcoma, reticulosarcoma, or maybe sarcoidosis. So now coming to clinical evaluation. So one must take the history very importantly in a case of lymphadenopathy. So malignant etiology of lymphadenopathy is very low in childhood, but increases with the age. So like if there is a patient which is 20 years of age and coming with cervical lymphadenopathy, then you should think of infectious pathology like acute bacterial infection or tuberculosis. But if a elderly male with history of weight loss and other cachexia and other features of malignancy comes with a cervical lymphadenopathy, you should think on lines of malignancy. So, and even the acute onset, if the duration is less than 2 weeks, then you should think of a non-malignant etiology like infection rather than a malignant etiology. And one must take the history of exposure to animal and biotic insect and chronic use of medication, infectious contact like any history of tuberculosis in the family, or travel related exposure like going towards a region where Epstein-Barr virus is very predominant, and whether the person is immunized for particular infection or not. And also personal and occupational history should be properly demonstrated. Environmental exposures like tobacco, alcohol, ultraviolet radiation, they raise suspicion of metastatic carcinoma of internal organs like cancer of head and neck region and skin malignancy. And occupational exposure to silicon and beryllium may also lead to lymphadenopathy. And one must take the sexual history and orientation for sexually transmitted diseases. Like there are many sexually transmitted diseases which cause inguinal bubo. Inguinal bubo means inguinal lymphadenopathy. They may be purulent, they may be firm, they may be tender or non-tender depending on various kind of sexually transmitted disease. So the details of these diseases will be taught in dermatology. So these are lymphogranuloma, venereal, syphilis. So then you should take a family history. Like certain kind of neoplastic etiology, they runs in the family. And in tuberculosis, there will be family history of TB in other individuals of the family. Then associated symptoms should be thoroughly asked, like fever, malaise, cachexia, unexplained loss of weight and loss of appetite will be seen in malignant etiology. While fever with evening rise of temperature may be seen in tuberculosis, and fever evening rise of temperature with pale abstain fever is usually seen in lymphoma. And there may be arthralgia, muscle weakness, and unusual rashes in autoimmune diseases. So then once you have taken a thorough history in a case of lymphadenopathy, then you should go for physical examination of the lymph node. So basically, whatever lymphadenopathy you are suspecting, you should do the examination of the draining area. Like upper jugular lymph node, you should examine the base of the tongue and the draining area from where the infection carries. Like in occipital lymph node, you will examine this occipital area. Post auricular lymph node, you should examine parotid area. So all the areas that is being drained by, like if there is axillary lymphadenopathy, you should examine the pectoral area also. And then you should examine the other lymph node in case if it is a generalized lymphadenopathy. So this is again the same thing. Swelling at known site of the lymph node should be considered to have arisen from them. Like if there is a swelling in the neck, it is in a lateral part of the neck, it should be considered as a lymph node until proven otherwise by something very obvious. Like if there is some pulsatile swelling from carotid artery, then it will be other kind of swelling. So again, the same thing, when lymphadenopathy is localized, examine the region drained by the nodes for evidence of infection or any other lesion or even tumors. And other sites should also be carefully examined to exclude the possibility of generalized lymphadenopathy. So what things you should examine in a case of lymphadenopathy? The number of the lymph node, the site of the lymph node, the size of the lymph node, the surface of the lymph node, and any associated skin changes. The number is important because there are few conditions which causes multiple lymphadenopathy. There are some conditions which causes single lymph node enlargement, and there are conditions which causes generalized lymphadenopathy like lymphoma, tuberculosis, leukemia, and brucellosis. And position is also important. It just not give the idea to which group of lymph node is affected, but it also points toward the diagnosis and towards the reason which is involved. Like in Hodgkin's disease and the tuberculosis affect the cervical lymphadenopathy. And one should also examine the overlying skin changes. In acute lymphadenitis, skin become inflamed redness and there will be brawny edema, while in chronic lymphadenitis, redness will not be seen. Skin over the tuberculosis, there may be some scarring or there may be red or glossy, and once they reach the point of bursting, they burst out and cause sinus formation. So, and there will be scarring after that. So, can any one of you tell me what is this? Harsh Kumar, do you know what is this?
पल्स डिटेक्टर ऐसा कुछ.
पल्स डिटेक्टर? अरे कुछ शर्ट वर्ट में होता है ये.
सर बटन है.
हाँ? This is a not an object for medical thing. This is an object for general thing. शर्ट में यूज करते हैं. What is this?
No idea, sir.
कुर्ते में होता है. कुर्ते में. कुर्ता जानता है? कुर्ता.
Yes, sir.
कुर्ते में नहीं लगाते हैं. This is known as stud. कुर्ते का जो बटन होता है, this is known as stud. So once it is in collar, this is known as collar stud. So are you aware of any important medical thing which is associated with collar stud? Ekampreet
No,
Singh, are
sir.
you aware of anything which is associated with collar stud?
शायद वो
Do you agree
फंगल
this is a collar
फंगल
stud or not? ये collar का
फंगल
है ना button,
हाँ
collar
हाँ
stud.
जी so
So are you
fungal
aware of
infection
anything medically important?
fungal infections
Huh?
fungal infection
Fungal infection?
yes sir मुझे लग रहा है
Not exactly. ठीक है, unmute your mic. Mute your mic, sorry. So basically, what happens in there are stages of tubercular lymphadenitis. What happens is that firstly all the lymph node they start enlarging. They remain discrete. Once the enlargement is adequate enough, they become matted. They are stick to each other and form single mass, and then abscess is formed. So basically, in neck region, they are deep to the cervical fascia, and once the abscess become larger, they burst the fascia, and there is a component which remains deeper to the fascia, and there is a small component which is superficial to the fascia. So it becomes like a collar stud, एक बड़ा part and एक छोटा part, and there is a connecting stalk. So it also demonstrates a physical sign which is known as cross fluctuation. Cross fluctuation means when you will press here, then there will be fluctuation here, or when you will press here, then there will be fluctuation there. It is also seen in plunging ranula and binocular hydrocele. Uh, so did you understand what is collar stud abscess and what is cross fluctuation? So basically, there will be two components. One component superficial to the cervical fascia, and one component will be deeper. And once you press one component, then there will be fluctuation on the other component. This is also known as cross fluctuation. There are some other swelling which are cross fluctuant. That is binocular hydrocele, abdominal-scrotal hydrocele, and plunging ranula. समझ में आया? Ekampreet, are you understanding this point?
थोड़ा बहुत
Did you
समझ आ रहा
understand this point?
है yes sir
So there is a particular classification for this also, which is known as Jones and Campbell classification of peripheral tubercular lymphadenitis. Once it is discrete, then it is known as stage 1. And once it is large doubly node fixed to the surrounding tissue and there is periadenitis, then it is known as stage 2. And once there is a central softness due to abscess formation, then it is stage 3. And once it becomes the collar stud abscess, then it is stage 4. And once this ruptures outside and form a skin sinus, then it is known as stage 5. So if there is a neat question asking is Jones and Campbell classification of a collar stud abscess age, then you will reply it as a stage 4 Jones and Campbell classification. So there may be skin which appearing tense and strange and shiny with dilated subcutaneous tissue when there is a rapidly growing Hodgkin's lymphoma. In secondary carcinoma, the skin may become fixed. Then you should palpate all the lymph nodes. You will start with the regional lymphadenopathy. Like if head and neck area is involved, then you will examine the cervical lymph node first, and then proceed for axilla, then proceed for inguinal lymphadenopathy. If there is a breast malignancy, breast cancer, breast infection, you will examine axillary lymph node first, then cervical, then inguinal lymphadenopathy. And like cervical lymph node, for cervical lymph node examination, you should go behind the patient and with say suppose there is a patient in front of me. I am coming, this is the front of the neck of the patient, so I will fix this thumb at the occiput like this, and then with my 4 fingers I will keep on palpating the region where I am looking for enlarged lymph node. So you have to go in a proper region-wise manner. Level 1 lymph node, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, and then supraclavicular lymphadenopathy, then anterior auricular, post auricular, then occipital lymph node. You have to go in a proper manner, and you have to look for shade shape, whether they are tender or not, whether they are firm, whether they are matted or not, and whether there is fixity to the surrounding structure, which will denote a periadenitis. There is an inflammation around the lymph node. And you should also look for consistency. So palmar aspect of the three fingers, these three fingers should be used. And enlarged lymph node may be soft, fluctuant, in elastic, rubbery, or even firm. And they may be, in malignancy, they may be stony hard. And in inflammatory pathology, they will be tender, while in malignant etiology, they will not be tender. And matting will be seen in metastatic carcinoma, lymphomas, and tuberculosis. So as you can see here, they are matted. There is periadenitis, and they have formed a single mass. And the size of lymph node I already mentioned. And you should also assessing the fixity to deeper structures. Like if there is a cervical lymphadenopathy, whether it is fixed to the deeper structure or surrounding structure like sternocleidomastoid or even skin, overlying skin. A malignant ulcer usually penetrates deeper, and as well as it involves the skin over it. So this is how you should look for pre-auricular lymph node standing behind the patient, and then post-auricular lymph node, and then occipital lymph node. And this is how you palpate the submental lymph node. And this is how you palpate submandibular lymph node. And you start going from submental, submandibular, then level 1, 2, 3, 6, 5 in a proper sequential manner. So this is how you palpate the level 5 lymph node. So you should examination of a cervical lymph node can be accomplished by instructing the patient to turn the neck away from the side to be examined. Like if you are examining here, then ask the patient to turn the neck on the other side. And this position distends the sternocleidomastoid muscle and facilitates easier examination of the lymph node of anterior as well as the posterior chain. And fingertips of the hand should be held along the posterior border of the muscle, while the thumb provides the counter pressure from anterior aspect of the muscle. So these are the lymph node status in various conditions. In acute, they will be painful enlarged. There will be red brawny edema over the skin. While in chronic infection like tubercular lymphadenitis, they may become enlarged, but they will be slightly tender and elastic with or without matting. And there are various stages of tubercular lymphadenitis, as I already mentioned, in Jones and Campbell criteria. And in malignancy, they will be hard and painless. And there may be certain lymphadenopathy like left supraclavicular lymphadenopathy in abdominal malignancy as well as the testicular malignancy. While in Hodgkin's lymphoma, they will be formed fixed, circumscribed, and rubbery. Firm, fixed, and rubbery. You must remember FFR, firm, fixed, and rubbery.